Hi guys, so welcome to WOTBaby Conversations. I know you guys are super busy, so thanks for joining. We're just going to have a casual conversation about, parenting. You guys have got two kids, Fox and Eva. Fox is what, 4.5 now?
No, you've been in our lives for 5 years. It's crazy.
5.
No, it's four
Almost.
and a half. But, we were doing some prelim combos before
Yeah,
that.
yeah.
Yeah, and you were kind of on deck from
The beginning.
4 weeks, day 2.
From
I
the
don't know.
beginning, yeah, I think I came in at about week 3.
Week 3.
Yeah.
Week 3 was a hard week.
I remember
Walking.
walking in.
You won't need me 6 to 8 weeks. And week 3, I was like, awake.
I remember walking in, Zoe. I'll never forget it. But you were doing a good job, and he was a little newborn. I think it was just. I think with every new mum goes through it, and you, Dad. That overwhelming feeling of, wow, what's happening?
Like it's the crazy thing for me is people say, oh, you don't really know what to expect when you have a baby until you actually have one. And I had no idea, like how much they sleep, how often you need to feed them.
No one knows any of the rules.
Like seriously.
Yeah.
When they wake up, what's the right thing to do? And I'm lucky I got Zoe because I honestly got no idea. And then going through WOTBaby and understanding how it worked for me was like life-changing. Because I honestly had no idea, even like feeding, settling, all that stuff.
Oh my God, resettling, the worst thing in the world.
Resettling. But I think when I first came in with Fox, he was only 3 weeks old. So it was very much about just giving you that support, Zoe, and so
it wasn't really about him at that point.
No, it wasn't. And it was about sort of, that I think we talked a lot about what was normal for a newborn in terms of his behavior and what to expect. And remember, he was sleeping in the lounge room.
Yes.
And Benj, you were sleeping on the lounge, I think, so that Zoe could get some rest, and then you would bring Fox into Zoe to feed, and there was a little bit of that bed hopping, lounge hopping going on. But
and then you were like, that's it, his room. Let's get dark. Let's get the white noise.
Exactly.
And we never looked back, really.
Yeah, exactly.
That feels quite confronting, I think, for a mum, like in the early weeks of like, can I have my baby in its own room? Because no one even tells you that. And I was obviously a really close distance, what was like 0.5 meter from his room, my room was. So I could hear everything anyway, but it's a weird moment. But when you get to that point where you're like, I really need some sanity, I need some structure, I need to sleep, my mental health is declining, you get over that very quickly. And then when you see you get out of the way emotionally, how settled they are was really incredible. Like he needed that. He needed a dark room. He needed to be tightly swaddled. He needed to be tucked in. He needed the music. He needed to know, like, we're in bed. This is where I'm going to be. I feel safe and I'm comforted, and that's where I'm going to be for 2-3 hours,
So you guys needed to know you needed to be guided and shown and told, it's okay. And I think, and that's what I've found with new parents, is that once you receive the information, and once not only the information of like how to do it, but the why and why to do it and what he needed. And so even though you guys were working together and had him in the lounge room and then sort of trying to work out what was best for him, that once you were given the right information, like, did that empower you to then make those more sort of tricky parenting decisions with a little bit more confidence?
I think for me, the biggest thing I didn't want to happen is for Zoe to have to feel like she had to constantly do everything. So for me, the information was important because, like, I honestly don't have any idea. Like, the way I was brought up and raised was the baby just sleeps until it wakes up. And when it cries,
it sleeps with you in the bed.
And when it cries, you feed it. That's like all I've ever known, like I didn't know all those steps about settling and like having a routine, and like, well, routine is not for everyone, but for me, the fact that I could have the information and help and let Zoe sleep when she needed to sleep and take over sometimes the night times, and then go in and be able to get him up, change him, take Fox to Zoe so she could feed. Then I'd take him back, settle him, put him back down so she could just like get her rest, you know. I found the information for me was helpful, not for me to help Fox, but for me to help Zoe, you know, as a dad. I think as dads, we quite often don't think that we have roles at that part of a new.
That's so true.
When, if you can help like a little, even if it's just a little bit, you know, just for sleep and the sanity for your partner or your wife, like that's why I enjoyed the information, because it gave me a sense of like help and a sense of playing a role at an early age, where most dads probably feel like they don't have a role to play in those first sort of 3 months, you know?
Yeah. But they certainly do. And you're right about the helping Zoe, and you guys too, with the busy sort of lifestyles. And we know, Zoe, because you've talked about it, you got back into work quite early after you'd had Fox.
Right.
And a little bit early, but and then you, Benj, you were still playing football at that time, so you were training and playing, and so it was quite busy and a bit of a juggle. And so, yeah, I guess you having that information, Benji, really helped, because you could then, you guys could then plan a little bit. And I know there was a bit of, you know, you'd have Fox, Zoe, but then when you were training, Benj, or you might have to leave early in the morning. So to give each other sort of that feedback of what happened overnight, and you had a little bit of a routine to follow with Fox. Did that help with your busy lifestyle?
I think I knew, like, from getting pregnant and knowing, you know, there's the koala mums and there's the routine mums. I definitely knew me as a person. The biggest thing for me was sleep was going to allow me to thrive. And I am not a good co-sleeper. I don't even sleep with my husband. So I knew I would not.
She still hasn't slept with her kids too, by the way.
And I tried to sleep with the baby, but my paranoia of smothering it, or I could never get a wink of sleep. But I just said, you know, I know what I need. That's a routine for me to be able to know when I can sleep or rest or work or go for a walk or whatever it is. That as soon as, and it's ridiculous, you can't think of a routine in the early days, but as soon as they're old enough and they're ready to go through that transition, I know lots of people are like, fit the baby into your life, don't work around the baby. But what it actually allowed us to do was it gave us freedom, because we would well, now we know at 9:30 we can talk to you because she's down. She's down at 11:30. Then I'm with her 11:30 to 1:30, or Benji's, and then we know we can do work from 1:30 to 3:30. So our people might go like, you're revolving your life around the baby. Well, we look at it differently. We're like, we know our parameters as parents, that she's going to thrive.
Yeah, that's the main thing. It's not even about us.
No.
You know? Like I found with Fox, and even now when has routine and structure, and he knows routine. Like he thrives on that. And when it's not, so like off it, he's not ready.
You can see it, and he
loves it, you know. And I was unsure with Eva, like, was it going to be the same? But she's even better. Like, she is to the T from 9:30 to 11:30 asleep.
Yeah,
you know, and we know that.
And then last night, so she goes down at 6:30 p.m., wakes up at 7 a.m., right? She sleeps all the way through. But at 5 a.m., she was crying, and that is unusual. So I go to Benj because I'm a bit
She
reactive.
comes to my room, wakes me up.
So because I would just run into her room. So I
love it.
into his room, and I was like, she's crying. I just want to go in, because my heart is like, go get her. And he's like, just leave her for 5 minutes. I'm just going to walk her. She resettled, but I know that she's also teething. So if she didn't resettle, I would have gone in, cuddled, nurtured. If she needed paracetamol, whatever. But she actually just resettled. So it's actually really cool.
Hang on. This is a different Zoe that was at the start. And Jen,
tell us your version. Version.
When we had Fox at the start, and you know what, and this is probably the hardest thing I reckon for parents to do, is to be out of the room and hear your child cry and not go in and just give them a cuddle, right? Which is like a natural reaction for parents. You want
and
to
particularly like in your culture, you guys are very connected and big family unit. So there's lots of help and support. So
it's a tribe. Like if the mother is tired, the sister or the auntie or the mum or whoever takes and nurtures until mum can have that back. But we don't have that family.
But for Benj to like then say, you know, and you were just giving us your version of
I know she always does.
Like, that's but like how, you know, how it is for you, because your culture, you were raised differently. So
but the information, you know, and even following your app, Jen, like step by step of understanding, you know, if this happens, okay, go and do this step, you know, or put them on their side and just pat them.
And there's options.
And shush them, you know, and if they settle, okay, walk out of the room, leave for 5 minutes. If they keep crying, go back in, you know, whatever it is, whatever the step was, that. But Zoe really struggled with the whole letting them cry thing.
Of course, like everyone does.
But it makes sense to me, right? Because once they learn how to resettle themselves, when they do cry at night, you don't have to go back in and pick them up and then put yourself out, or it makes it harder for you. So what I gathered pretty quickly is once Fox learned how to resettle himself, in the long run, that was going to be best for us. So I did all the sleep training, or like at the start, I did everything that involved, if he was going to cry for like 10 minutes, I'd do it and just let him cry, be outside the room going, it's okay, just outside the room, quick pat.
Exactly.
You know, like,
can I just...
It was guidance rather than training, because Fox knew how to sleep. You were guiding him whilst he was going to sleep.
And it was never 10 minutes from the get-go. Like, I just want to preface that. And I don't even think it got to 10 minutes, but you start with like 30 seconds and then a minute. And then it gets to that point where you're leaving the 5 minutes and you know they're just overtired, or they've been held by 20 people that day and they're overstimulated and they're winding down. So I think once you get into the psychology and into the mind of a baby versus you're projecting your fears of they need me, they're all of these things. And it's actually like, you get out of the way, because Benj would be like, go into your room, put some music on, I've got this. And I would like text him and I'd be like, what's happening now? You know, and he'd be like, as soon as I walk in, he's laughing at me or he's giggling or he's, you know, he just needs to wind down. And I think, look, not everyone has that kind of support, but I really needed either you, Jen, or Benj to be like, stay out of that room, you know?
And then if you had somebody sort of, you know, because people can say little things like, oh, but maybe, you know, partners or mothers or father-in-laws or whoever might say, oh, maybe they're hungry, or maybe you've missed this, or maybe they need that. And so to have somebody,
and you know, well, you know, they're well fed, they've been changed, you know, it's all good, okay, it's just, you know, they want to be held, and when they cry and you do go in and they expect you to keep doing that, you know, Fox was like that every time we'd go in, he'd just laugh and smile, haha, you know, like, got you.
Told you he was fine and relaxed and happy.
Like, you know, things happen, we go on holidays, or he's unwell or he's teething, and all the kind of rules go out the window and you're just loving and comforting your baby. And then they get better, or you get back into the home routine and they're like, no, I want to party all night and I want to do all these things and I want you to rock me to sleep. And you're like, okay, back to basics. And we would never let that, like, so if we went on a holiday, the day we got home, we're back. And we knew it was going to be a rough couple of days. But we were like, no.
They were both pretty good though, like at getting straight back into the routine though.
Because you guys had the information. You understood, I think, through WOTBaby, like, you know, what the windows of time helps you to understand what the baby needs, what and why they need it. And so you have the information, so it helps you then make
you know, it was funny though, Jen, like, so Zoe would always go, I'd say, oh, what do you think to do now? She'd go, just go and look at the book. You know, like,
there's the flow chart.
Go look at it, you know. But the easy thing for me was you go, okay, well, what age are they at? You know, 0 to 3 months, all good. Go to there, go to the top of the routine. Okay, go through the steps and be, okay, if the baby settles, good. If not, do this or try this, if this doesn't happen, do this.
And then by that time you're at 45 minutes and you just start again, like,
yeah, exactly.
You just get them up, stop, like,
exactly. You have a plan. You never push them too hard. You give them a window of time. You know what they're doing, feeding or sleeping, and you just keep it consistent.
You have to be realistic. There were times that Benj was playing footy or he was away and it was just on me, and I'd done all day and I'd done all night and all day and all night. And then you break as a mother and you're like, I don't care. I'm taking that baby into bed. I'm feeding it to the boob and I just don't care anymore because I can't hear any whinging. You just stop. And I think that is okay as well.
Absolutely.
You would say that you'd just be like, just go with it. I remember I was in quarantine, remember this? And I was like, Jen, what am I going to do? What am I going to do? You were like, let's just get through this period, do whatever it takes to get through. Then we were rehomed in 2 different locations. And I was like, what do I do now? You're like, well, you're not in your base, so don't even bother.
Yeah.
And it was 4 weeks of me going, what do I do? And then we got there and you were like, okay, we're ready. Let's start.
Do it.
And he was traveling and he was away and I was like, let's just do it together. And I didn't have you and I had the app and things like that. But Eva was sleeping in the walk-in wardrobe to my room.
That's right. Yeah. You guys were all together.
All on top of each other.
And it all happened so suddenly, I was going to talk about this and how you guys did cope, because she was a newborn baby. She was really tiny, wasn't she? 5 weeks. So, and then you guys had to move quickly, make the decision, pack up, move. And then not only that, just be in a situation or an environment where you had sort of had it in your mind what you were going to do. And I knew that you wanted routine forever as well. And what you'd learnt with Fox and all the things, you were like thinking that and you were planning that.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden you found yourself all together.
In a very small space.
In a very small space, which probably, Benj, you kind of coped with better because of your upbringing and your culture. Whereas you, Zoe, like, how did you cope with that? Like, I know we did talk about just going with the flow, but to let all of that go and sit with the chaos.
I think the real silver lining was the other option was that Benj would be away from me for 3 to 6 months with not being there with the kids at all.
Yeah.
That was so terrifying to me, that being together and confined and in quarantine and then in these 2 strange places, but together, really, I was just full of gratitude that I wasn't by myself.
Yeah.
So that was really helpful to kind of shift the perception and what we were going through. But then when reality hit, and it was so funny because Benj was in a room in quarantine with Fox and then I was in a room with Eva. I had never been so hands-on with the newborn without him. Like I was doing literally.
You guys were in quarantine, so you couldn't see.
No, we could see each other, but
they
because
were just joined rooms,
and they were
with one like double bed in each room.
Yeah. But because of her sleep, and we were so disconnected because he was with Fox and trying to entertain him all day and they're on a different schedule and baby is sleeping and I'm like I'm doing the feeds all night and the changing all night and the poo explosions and everything all night and everything. And I was like, holy moly, like.
This is what my husband went through with Fox.
I was.
Did you come and say thank you, Benj?
I still haven't.
I do. I love.
I still do the nights too, just quietly.
And so when we moved into, we got kind of shifted into like a makeshift place for 2 weeks after that, and that was still really difficult. That's where I kind of had my mental break.
How old was she then?
Should only been 7 weeks.
Yes, 7 weeks, right. And I was like.
Which was the catnapping phase, right? Heading to that.
And it was the time, Jen, and I don't want to say the word, but I brought in a contraption with us, remember, up there.
Oh, yes.
I was
the babysitter.
That lasted about a week.
2 days. And it was actually really hard because I was getting quite desperate and I was so out of control in my own life, whereas we didn't have any kind of organization of the food we ate. We all went to a dining hall with 50 other families 3 times a day. It was chaos in there, taking the baby out if she was asleep because you had 30-minute window to eat.
And take your mask off.
Take your mask off, eat quickly, trying to find, where's Fox? Like, it was so much chaos. Get back to the room. I just sometimes said to Benj, just bring me food back. I can't
do it. Yeah.
Keep going. And then we got removed, which was actually amazing because a lot of people had to stay in that kind of cafeteria style, hotel style place where we got these furnished apartments. And that's when I called you and I was like, I can cook for my family. I can get settled. I can go for a walk. What do I do, Jen? Because I have been so out of control for so long. She was such an easy baby though, like considering
right.
She didn't make a noise for 6 months. Sometimes I'd have her in the bouncer getting Fox ready and I'd forget. She'd just be looking around.
Sometimes you just forget the work that I would do though.
Yeah. Like she was chiller and then.
But do you think that
and you came in.
But do you think that even though you were in chaos and you were all you're in the hotel rooms, do you think that the windows of time, did you think that was it in your head, like even with her feeding and her settling?
Yeah, and the only thing that was really annoying, Jen, was like you said, we were pretty much in the same room. So she would stir at that normal 3 to 4 a.m. period. And if she caught a glimpse of me or if she heard me, she was up.
Yeah.
Remember that? And we were starting the day every day at 4. And then we were pushed out and you were like, this would not be like this at home because you wouldn't hear this little.
You're waking each other up. Yeah.
And so we worked with that and you were like, look, it's going to be really hard because she's looking at me with her beady eyes through the cot. And I was like, don't look, don't break. And I would just have to persist with that. So it was a different version of WOTBaby, but it actually got us there. So when we got home eventually.
Yeah, but our understandings of the windows of time, like.
Exactly.
I mean, like from the first time, knowing how it sort of went, the stress was a little bit less because we already been through
and
that.
We trusted it. I think that's the thing is a lot of my friends that have gone, I want what you're doing with the kids, I want what you're doing. And then they get to it and they might have left it too late and you've got a 6-month-old, way harder.
That's problem solving.
Yeah.
That's problem solving. Whereas the whole thing about the windows of time, it's a process of elimination. And it's also education in helping you understand your baby, how they change and develop, and then what you need to implement as they're growing and developing. So you're actually eliminating problems from existing and you're teaching or guiding your child very gently. And even within chaos in Queensland, you were able to just go, okay, well, she's fed and she's watered and she's changed. We know that she's in the catnapping phase, or we know that this is what to expect from her, but you had the confidence to still put her down, or to say at 4 a.m, no, you don't need feeding because,
And that was so good with you because I'd always text you at like a crisis point. You'd be like, how old is she? And I would say 7 weeks or something. You'd go, catnap. This is what's going to happen for this amount of time. Because also I was like, where the bloody hell is the book? Because we moved. And then.
No, it was there.
And we ended up having it on hand all the time. But it was like, I would get to you after a big transition. Fox is disrupted, she's disrupted, and be like, what's going on? And you'd always go, oh, they're going through you'd say people are calling it like a regression, but it's actually a development where their brain is wiring and firing and learning, and they're a little bit unsettled, but we're not breaking anything. We're not going in, we're not patting, we're not rocking, we're not settling. They're fine.
It's actually the parents that do the regression thing. It's not the baby. The babies are just moving forward. It's the parents who regress.
We've got friends, that have kids the same age as Fox that are still co-sleeping. The parents are still not sleeping well. And it has come from very early days,
Yeah.
you know, and then their second child is doing their own thing and blah, blah, blah. And they did it with them. But this 3 or 4 year old is still not out of the bed.
That's right. And, you know, it's okay if that's the way that you want to parent, and you two, you know, and Benj, you come from, you know, different background, like with different values, different ways of doing things that are okay. Like however you want to parent is totally up to you.
Whatever works for you.
But
it's
okay.
what works.
Doesn't want that. Do you know what I mean?
Right.
So,
but it's also okay, Zoe, to say, like you said in the beginning, you knew I want to have routine. I need routine. I need my baby to sleep. I need my sleep. And you guys are very open about that and how important sleep is. And I talk to parents all the time about this. It is okay it is okay to want to put your baby down and to guide them while they self-settle. Or it is okay to want your baby to sleep through the night. Like, why is that not okay to want that? And then to ask for help or to find the resources that are going to give you the education to be able to, you know, to do that and to achieve that. It seems so not okay these days to want your baby to sleep well.
yeah, but I think because we're projecting a lot of what we think they need from us, and I think there is a lot of anxiety, especially with mums, about what is the right thing to do. And that's why I think we do have to put it back at whatever way is right for you.
Yeah, exactly.
As long as you can live with it and you can be mentally sound.
It's whatever works for you, man.
That's what it has to come down to, because we want women, whether that is having their baby, you know, possum bubs or koala bubs, and they feel most at ease and at peace that way, amazing. I cannot. Like, I was not that woman, and that's also okay for me. You can't judge me for giving myself a boundary that I needed to stay mentally well.
Yeah, but you had a man with you, like, who was all over it.
And how did you feel about, like, the sleep thing, Benj? Was it important for you?
Nah, he could have co-slept.
Nah, I don't. Well, to be honest with Fox, I was doing the nighttime, so I didn't like sleep heaps. You know, if anyone got the most sleep, it was her.
But did you feel that you needed to sleep? Like, did you?
He doesn't need a lot of sleep.
Nah, I don't. But I actually
can sleep really easily, though. Like, you can sleep anywhere. Really easily.
The hardest part of becoming a new parent as a dad is, you know, like, the connection to a newborn's probably a little bit different to what a mum gets to experience at the start. You know, they probably don't feel as connected for a while. So the night times was my sort of opportunity to connect.
To bond with him.
Yeah. You know, and that was where I sort of got my sort of cravings of having a new baby, instead of, you know, waiting for the time where you feel like you can be more hands-on and do things. But that was like how I sort of did it. And
that's so good. Because fathers do need time to bond with the baby. They need to get amongst it. You actually have you know, your hormones are released, and it's the same. Yeah, the oxytocin, all of that. It's so important. It's the same as mums. It really is for dads, and I think dads need to get more involved. So yeah.
But I also think that, like, we can't forget that women naturally are wired, like you said, differently. Like, even till this day,
I'm glad you admitted that for once.
I'm the one that will message Benj in the middle of the night and go, did you turn the heater off? Did we do this? Because I remember him taking over the nights, but I would still go, did you put the sheet on really tight? Did you tuck it really, really tight? I'm just going to go in quickly. I'm just going to double check the time. Like, you should be asleep, you know, because we're so wired to make sure everything is
done. Yeah. It's a protection thing.
It is.
And how did you find that, Benj? Did you go with that? Or?
Annoying. Like, just trust me. And you know what's even worse? We're on our second baby now, and the same things are still happening. Like look up, Fox turns out sweet, and she's like still worried that I'm not doing the right thing with her.
Can we just mention, though, that Fox and Benj do share a bed now? They do, but that is by choice on Benj's side.
That since you've moved?
Yes, but it's also
since we came back from Queensland.
No. He slept in this. So we bought a new house. He slept in the new house the first night. He slept here by himself. And then somehow Benja was like, it's okay, come sleep with me. It's okay. it's okay. So now they're sleeping together, and I think it's more for Benj than it is for
It
Fox.
is for me because I like it.
There you go. And it's good that you can admit that, because, a lot of our choices as parents do make us feel better. Like make sure that the blankets are tucked in. It makes you feel better. So, and it's whatever works and whatever you want. And because I've told you, the more you do something, the longer it lasts. So, it's
ready.
but it's what you want to do, then it's what you want to do, and everybody's happy, and there's nothing wrong with that, because
I fall asleep with them at nighttime quite often and just stay asleep.
But you've made that choice, and that's fine. You're not doing it because you're not doing it because you think you don't have any other choices. You're making the choice because you want to do it.
If anything happens with Eva at nighttime and Fox wakes up, I have to do Eva, and then Zoe has to go and lie with Fox until I come back.
Yeah.
I'm the settler.
That is the thing I hate the most, is the settling. It breaks me. It's also quite like I've become really sensitive, even with her crying in the car. Benj just tunes it out, where I get really
crying. It's a crying. It triggers us.
It triggers us so.
It triggers us because the crying means pain and hurt and abandonment and all the things that
cries though too.
We've experienced. But sometimes as a mum, and it depends what traumas we've been through as well. Like, and sometimes as a mum, we have this, and dads, you guys have it too, but we have this, we've got a little gland in here, and each time the baby cries, it sets off the hormones, which sets us into fight or flight, and it's a protection thing. So sometimes it's out of our control, and then it depends what we've been through or what we've experienced.
No, we haven't. And you know what he'll do? I'll get really overwhelmed with the crying, and then he'll be like, "It's just not that hard. Just tune it out. Just block it out. I don't hear anything."
No, that's not true.
And I'm just like,
that's not
that. You do that at 5 p.m. when I get very overwhelmed.
No, just take a breath.
It's hard.
Take a breath.
And
it's hard.
Extra baby.
It's what they call it in France. It's la pause. Just take a breath. Just stand back, and let's see what happens.
La pause.
La pause.
Quite often, I just have to say, "Just get out of the way. I'll just take over."
Well, you're a great dad, Benj, and a great husband. Wow.
That's what he wants to hear.
Yeah, no, that's your thoughts.
And you go.
Look at him.
What?
But I just want to.
There we go.
And a beautiful husband.
And just before we wrap up, I just wanted to ask you, Zoe, because recently you had a look at the 9 to 12 month videos, because we've just released our new video series, the WOTBaby Diaries.
Yes.
And again, like you were saying, when you're in Queensland, you lost the book, couldn't find it. Wouldn't it have been good to have the videos then?
And the videos on your phone with your earphones at 2 in the morning, easier than the book.
Actually see it. Yeah.
And seeing take all of the motions being taken through that versus like, okay, but what is a tight swaddle? What is this? What is it that? What is a firm
pattern shush?
Yes.
And how to change the pattern shush as they grow, because pattern shush stops working, doesn't it, Benj? Like with Fox smiling at you when you go into pattern shush, it wasn't working. So you have to change what you're doing. Yeah.
Yes, we waited a long time for those videos, and I think the parents that get access to them now, they're really lucky.
Yeah. Yeah. It's the book brought to life. So we're hoping it's going to help many. Yeah. And particularly dads as well, because dads need to see it in action. Because a lot of dads just.
My friend that I used to play with is just about to have a baby, and I was trying to talk to them about routine and sleeping, but I couldn't explain it in the same way you do. So I might have to send them to you.
Perfect.
And that's another thing that, people, I'm not sure how much you're doing of this anymore, but like at home consults, if they're local, but if you don't have the finances for that, you can buy the videos in any bit you need. So if you've missed it up until 9 months, there's affordable ways to get your sanity back, which I think is a really great way to have done that, Jen. Like these people, it needs to be accessible for all, and the app is, and the book is. So, and
it's there, and people take the information a different way, but it's not about specific routine and having it perfect. It's about empowering the parents to make the decisions that they need to make. And it's just about understanding your baby and knowing what to expect and knowing what's normal. And that's what we're passionate about.
We're very grateful to have had you on our team to have guided us to guide the babies.
Exactly.
Because, like I said, and I'm in no way boasting, and I know this is tricky for moms that aren't sleeping, but ever sleeping 13 hours a night, I know that's good for her. Don't worry about both of you and myself, you know, because it really, I know that she is well rested, she's alert, she's learning, she's all of these things, and I have kind of peace of mind because of that. And we did that, and I'm not even going to say it was hard yards, Jen. You and I did that in 3 days in Gold Coast.
Once you were ready.
Ready, and it was later than Fox. I think we started at 12 weeks.
Yeah, it's way later.
But
you didn't really start. You'd laid the foundations because you had the education. You knew the windows of time. It guided you, and you trusted it, and you laid the foundations from the very beginning. So you did the hard work.
We're really grateful.
Yeah, we are.
Oh, thank you guys, and I'm really happy to help, and I'm glad that everybody's sleeping, even though together again.
Yep, from us.
Thank you, guys.